Tick tock, boom. Time waits for no man. It's only what you do for the Lord will last. Welcome back to Late Nights with Lala. It is 9:01 p.m. on March 2nd, 2026. And the title of this video is I Am Not Black. Yeah, shout out to everybody whose birthday is today too. Anyway, so of course they have been tricking us for centuries, having us speaking spells over ourselves and all of this. And, people are talking about it more and more and more. And I've been saying this forever because my father and my mother taught us a lot about, word and language and all of that. Thank God for them. But anyway, so when my children was little, I'm like, we really can't say black. Sometimes they try to pressure you to go along with it and just, say you got to fill out this box and check this. But I'm going to jump right into it, to be lack something, call yourself black, be lack. You listen, that's why they don't want you to break down the words, but you could break down any other word though, right? They teach you, I don't know if they teach compound words in school anymore and teach you to break down the words and stuff like that. But, at the end of the day, when you send the word out into the ethos, into the universe, you can hear what it says. It says be lack. Be lack. And to be is a state. It is a consistency. It's a commitment. It is a way of life. It's a regiment. That's why people say, I'll be there, meaning they agreed to that. It's an agreement. Just like when people ask you to marry them, say, will you be my wife? That means will you consistently show up in this position or in this title or as this, this thing or this person, you know. So to be and lack something is very devastating that you would claim that onto yourself, and they know what they're doing. They know that colored was actually upscale way of describing ourselves because it encompasses everything, the fact that we own all the different shades. And they didn't want us to have that power, so they taught us that colored was an insult, and it's not. It's a beautiful thing. We the people of the rainbow. We produce all different shades. It's mind blowing what we can produce. You can take someone whose skin is damn near milky white, and they'll have a child that's jet. And those colors, those names are important, jet and ebony, and that's why we had those magazines coming up. It was very important for us to use that terminology for ourselves because the word jet, the meaning of that is fast, high. What is a jet? It's a transportation. It's an airplane. And it flies high. It's an elevated form of transportation at that. It's not it's not something that you would sneeze upon. If someone owned a jet, that's a sign of prosperity. And ebony is that's why so many people name their children Ebony, because it's such a beautiful name and it means dark. And so they know what they're doing, and they know ebony is from the earth. So it's very powerful to call yourself that, instead of be lack, and I just thank Father God for giving us these revelations and stuff throughout the years. I was talking about this, in private amongst my family members and people like that. But now we get to, have these platforms and we get to speak about this stuff because it's pretty insane. And, I thank God for Most High teaching me to tell this to my children, and I thank him for teaching my parents, and he told me to really emphasize it and really make a big deal about it, and so my children had to say that they were Hebrew, because we are the real true chosen people of God. And, you think about, I used to always say, where's the country of blacking anyway? Where is blacking? Because if you're black, you have to come from blacking. Just like if you're Italian, you come from Italy. If you're Spanish, you come from Spain, so forth and so on. If you're Greek, you come from Greece. If you're Russian, you come from Russia. We can go on and on and on. If you're African, you come from Africa. So how can you say you're black when there's no country or no place called blacking? And the reason that they promoted James Brown to come up with that whole anthem is, and if you notice, he kind of really blew up after that. And it had people hyped, and they was just speaking this spell, saying that they would be black and proud. And I know it might be difficult still at this late in the game for people to accept the reality of it, but that is the truth. And that's what they do. They sugarcoat, they dress it up, they make it feel so good, they make it sound good, and they know that we are arithmetic people, us chosen people of Most High. We're very arithmetic, and they know that, so they add a little drum because they know the connection we have with the drum. They know that that's very soul stirring for us, and they add a little drum, they add a little beat to it, and they have you going, and you just be, and don't let them throw a little cocaine, a little liquor, because I'm sure that's what they was doing back in the day, and they was having the time of their life, and you couldn't tell them nothing. So they thought that they was really, empowering themselves when they was really chanting a spell over themselves. And if you notice, that's why it was really mainly done in large groups during concerts and stuff like that. They had all these hundreds and thousands of people saying that. And again, I know it felt good and it sounded good because they was all communing and fellowshipping together, but they was still speaking a spell, unfortunately. And again, like I said, to be is, again, to settle somewhere. It's a state, it's a position that you're in when you be something. That's why people say, well, you be late all the time. That means they cannot say that without using the word be, because again, be means a commitment, it means an ongoing thing, it means a consistency. That's what the be means. It means to do something, on a regular, so anyway, and so the alternative would be, you could even call yourself brown. Brown is great, and they knew that, because if you're brown, there's the be, which is be again. You in that state of being, and then you listen to round, the word round, be round. And so you want to be round because round is a circle. And what is a circle? A circle is a completion. It's well round. That's why people say you're well rounded. That's a good thing, to be round. You want to be full, a completion. You want to be a complete whole self. You want to be a complete person. You want to be full. You want to, have some substance to you, to be round. When something is round, that's why people, even when people are heavy set, they'll say, oh, he's pretty round, she's pretty round. That means weighty. It carries some weight. So that's an alternative, And like I say, jet, ebony, but be lacking. And that's why the black community, they know what they saying and they know what they doing, and they got y'all calling yourself that, you know. And like I said, just because the spellings are different doesn't mean anything. It's still an illusion because you still speak in the same vibration. It still come out the same exact way. So it doesn't matter. That's all a gimmick, and that's why English came up with all these different spellings to keep you confused and to keep you, you know, thrown off. But you want to be brown in your crown, honey. And that's what you want to do. You brown, wear a crown. Be brown in your crown. And like my daughter taught me that in Chinese, ni equals you. That means you. When someone say ni, that's you. So if you say Negro, then that's elevation. Negro, you want to grow. So they knew that it was power in calling yourself a Negro. Ne means you, I grow. And they took that away and started making you say you black, and got everybody, saying how proud they are to be lack. You don't ever want to be in lack of anything. You know what I'm saying? And so that's why we find ourselves, in these positions and in these situations, and Noir is another term you can use. Noir, Noir. That means dark, skin. And so you don't, again, want to ever claim lack unto yourself. Like Paul wrote the letter to the, I think I forgot, he wrote the letter to the, but he said, brother, I beseech you, in whatever position you find yourself in, you know, he said, I don't speak well of lack, but he did tell them to be content. But I don't speak well of lack. I'm not speaking in respect of it. I don't respect, suffering and being poor and going through. But he was just explaining to them to be content, but don't respect. Ain't nothing respectable about being in a position of lacking. And they want you to, not saying that you don't respect yourself or respect your community. That's not what I'm saying. But you don't embrace it, is what I'm saying. That ain't nothing to be proud of. Lack, just think about what the definition of lack means. Deficient, unavailable, drought, insufficient, absence, short. It's a shortage when you're in lack. deprivation. You know, I can go on and on. You know, that's why they want you to be Black Friday. And what do Negroes do? Run and go and be lacking. You already lacking, and then you run and lack more by giving to them. And they think they slick. And if you notice, they use the economy is doing good when it's in the black, but it's bad when it's in the red because they want you. They basically saying like, as long as these dark skinned people are giving their money, we in a good position, and that's why it's a gimmick. It's making mockery of you calling it Black Friday, because they like just a dog chasing your tail. You gonna get just to give, and then you get the things, and you gonna get it, be in lack because you went and got this stuff, so when they call you black student population and black people and black community and black church, and they hurry up and say the word together so you can't even hear the separation and realize what it's saying, black. And they hurry up and just cram it together and make it sound like it's just innocent. And again, like I say, it's to be impoverished. You know what I'm saying? So, I hope that everybody enjoyed Happy Color Month last month, instead of be lacking. So, yeah, I just wanted to put that out there to y'all. All right, I'm going to holler at y'all. All right, peace.